Islamic Battle of the Trench. Sajid Khan. Write a script on Jung-E-Ahud by Islamic Hadith. Deeniwaislamibatein, also known as the Battle of the Trench, is a significant event in Islamic history. Here is a brief script on the event based on Islamic Hadith. Narrator. The Battle of the Trench, also known as Jung-E-Ahud, took place in the year 627 AD. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was leading the Muslim army against the coalition of the tribes of Mecca and their allies. A flashback to the events leading up to the battle. Narrator. The tribes of Mecca and their allies were determined to wipe out the Muslims once and for all. They gathered a large army and marched towards Medina. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, consulted with his companions and decided to dig a trench around the city to protect it from the approaching enemy. A scene shows Muslims digging the trench. Narrator. The Muslims worked day and night to dig the trench. It was a difficult and exhausting task, but the Muslims were determined to protect their city and their way of life. A scene shows Muslims standing guard at the trench. Narrator. When the Meccan army arrived, they were surprised to find a trench around the city. They were unable to cross the trench and launch an attack on the Muslims. A scene shows the Meccan army camp outside the city. Narrator. The Muslims and their allies were outnumbered, but they did not lose hope. They prayed to Allah for help and support. A scene shows Muslims praying. Narrator. The battle lasted for several days, and both sides suffered losses. However, the Muslims were able to hold their ground and defend their city. A scene shows the end of the battle. Narrator. The Meccan army eventually gave up and went back to their city. The Muslims had emerged victorious, thanks to their courage, determination, and faith in Allah. A flash forward to the aftermath of the battle. Narrator. The Battle of the Trench was a turning point in Islamic history. It showed that the Muslims were not weak and could defend themselves against their enemies. It also strengthened the bond between the Muslims and their allies. A scene shows Muslims celebrating. Narrator. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, thanked Allah for the victory and praised the bravery of his companions. The Battle of the Trench remains an important event in Islamic history and serves as a source of inspiration for Muslims around the world.